Hello, and welcome to yet another year-end list. One to throw on the pile with the other 600 million of these things. Year-end list, best spirits or the spirits representing 2021. Yet another difficult year. What to say about that? I'm joined by a co-host. This is Fair Bear. My daughter's Teddy. Fairbear is a little bit of a bourbon nerd, so maybe not so interested on the stuff going on this channel, but he's been watching all the other top 10, top 20 lists, and he wanted to be included on this one. So he's here. He'll probably have something to say. So again, with this list, I'm not. We do these videos for hits, right? You clicked on it, you knew what was coming. But the hits give us an opportunity to kind of give some airtime and give some light to some of the stuff from the year that we really thought deserved it, deserved more attention. So the way I do this isn't necessarily to say what are the best things I tasted this year, even what are the best values I tasted this year, although those things should absolutely play into it. I'm more interested in a list of things that are just kind of representing moments, the events of the year, if you like, with value and quality, again, playing into all that. So I am looking across spirit categories. I am generally, so I have a couple of rules. I am not doing really small batch stuff. It's got to be at least a couple of bottles, a couple hundred bottles, I mean. And it's got to have come out recently. If it came out in 2012 and I only just discovered this year, then it's out of the running. But everything else is pretty much fair game, so long as I've had it. So a couple of things to say in general about the list this year. Amazingly, there are no whiskeys on it. That's not to say that I didn't try a bunch of whiskeys this year that I really liked. I was really delighted with the Sonoma distilling lineup that I tried, particularly the rye. I mean, shout out to classic producers like Wild Turkey and Four Roses. I've tried some Dickel's this year that I really enjoyed. I think Leopold Brothers is on its way to becoming the most exciting whiskey distillery in the U.S. right now. I tried a bunch of really good whiskeys. It's just there's so much other good stuff this year that none of them actually made the list. Fairbear completely disagrees. His favorite picks of the year, incidentally, are the Maker's Mark FAE02, the Russell's Reserve 13, and the Jack Daniel's 10-year-old. None of these he's actually tried. He's just watched videos, and those are the ones he's settled on. So if you've been able to try the Russell's Reserve 13, and it's excellent, good for you. I'm very happy for you. I have not. I haven't been able to track it down anywhere. So this is the list of stuff that I've actually been able to get a hold of and try to enjoy. Okay. The other thing is this is a list pretty much dominated by rum. This was the year when I think people started to notice rum a lot. A couple of years ago, Foursquare 2005 was on the closeout shelves at my local Binny's. It has now, this Foursquare 2009 has now migrated to behind the glass case. It is now, I don't know about allocated, but you have to ask a guy to open the thing up to get it for you. It's moved up a couple of levels, and I think there are a couple of things playing into that, but bourbon people really starting to push into rums, most definitely. But beyond that, man, there were just some really good rums that came out this year, and a lot of stuff from newer distilleries. So this could be the turning point of a lot of the stuff I'm talking about this may just get sucked up off the shelves in the near future, and that's just how I guess things work now. Keep an eye out for it though. It's not all rums, but dang, there's a lot of rums on this. All right, so normally I do a list of top 5. I do some 5 honorable mentions in no particular order. But I'm also going to throw in some things that I feel like deserve some mention, even though they're technically disqualified. So here are my 2 DQ'd, well, maybe really 3. Biel Blanc and Luzo Lao Jiao, Erkujo. If you are looking for QPR, absolute quality at a reasonable price point, this year, among the stuff I tried, nothing was topping these 2. These are both up there with the sort of canonical unaged Jamaican high-proof rums, as far as just offering an amazing amount of quality for the Erko Joe, in the teens. Like this is really good stuff. The Biel's even better, and it's not. It also isn't that expensive. You can find this in the lower shelves at supermarkets in France, apparently. So not officially on the list, but certainly deserving a mention. Also, shout out to Cinco Sentidos, who makes some amazing agave distillates. You can't really call them mezcals legally, but agave distillates. And they just can't make it on this list because the batches are all small. That's kind of what they do. But definite shout out anyways. Okay, honorable mentions in no particular order. First off, I wanted to do a new distillery, kind of lead things off. Sugarfield. This is the experimental batch number 6 from the Assumption Parish, cane juice rum. I think in the last year's video, I kind of pounded home the point, and I've done this in other videos since, that the most exciting spirit products in America going on right now, the ones to watch are the brandies, fruit brandies, but also grape brandies. And after trying a bunch of Louisiana rums, I may have to rethink that. The rums coming out of Louisiana are really good, and this was the best of the bunch that I tried. It's also extremely terroir driven. This is from like basically all cane grown in one patch of land, wild fermented. Fermented with their own strain of yeast, anyways, and pot distilled. This is the good stuff. This is astonishing, and it's just the beginning. There's going to be more from this area that's really killer. So, well done, Sugarfield. Second on my list is an Armagnac. Grossperrin, 1996, Buzz Armagnac. This was a pick by Fine Drams in the Aficionados Discord. Armagnac is also starting to hit the map. There's bourbon groups doing Armagnac picks now. So it's only a matter of time before they start to make a run for all the old stocks. And this is kind of the moment when they're available and very, very good. I had a bunch of good Armagnacs this year. Even some I would consider better than this, but I mean, again, this is for the QPR, and there's no arguing with this. This is a tremendous brandy for the kind of price you'd be paying. I don't think it's available anymore. Sadly, they sold out, but I think as a representation of where Armagnac is right now, I have to have it on this list somewhere. So that is that. Third in my honorable mentions, Long Pond. Come on, camera, focus. Long Pond, 2007 Tech, T-E-C-C. The highest ester mark of the Long Pond Distillery in Jamaica. Stunning rum. Absolutely amazing rum, and representative of, you know, what you can do with high esters that have been in oak for a while. Fairbear is confused by all this because he's pretty sure all rum is sweet, and he doesn't like sweet things. He likes bourbon. Again, was a huge fan of the Jack Daniels lineup this year. Sorry, back to Long Pond. Yeah, this was not a huge release. It was only 11 barrels, but there's still some of it floating out there, and if you can grab it, do so. Amazing rum. All right. Next up on my honorable mentions, Rivers rum from Grenada. No edits. This is a monster. It's a monster of a different kind than the Long Pond, but it is just as much a monster. I said in my review of this comes across as almost an rum. Like this is the primordial shark that just never evolved, and it sort of, you can see where kind of something like Worthy Park, but also just as much something like BL kind of comes out of this. Absolutely astonishing rum, kind of snapshot of terroir and history and yum all at once. Grab it if you can. And my last honorable mention, somewhere on this list I had to put the Zindhumbrecht marked Alsace. I don't even the lighting in here in these videos is never good, and right now it's particularly not good, but this is the little sample bottle I got. Zindhumbrecht Mar de Gewürztraminer from Alsace, 1976 vintage. Cast strength. The only reason this isn't higher on my list is I'm still baffled by this. I only had an ounce of it. It may be the best thing I've ever tried. Honestly, this could be the best spirit I've ever tasted in my life. I'm just still, I didn't have enough time to sort of wrap my brain around it. So I am desperately hunting for a full bottle of this stuff, and we'll see what happens. But for right now, it definitely deserves a spot on the list somewhere. Zindhumbrecht Mark de Gewürztraminer. This is not the last time you will see a Mar on this list. All right. And now, finally, now that we're 12 minutes in, on to the proper top 5. What do we got? Again, no whiskeys. Pretty dominated by rum. And we start out with maybe the biggest hyped rum release of the year. Well, actually, I guess of last year too. Hamden, Great House. We in the U.S. now have. Wait, I should really reverse these, but whatever. We have Great House 2020 and Great House 2021. These are both fantastic and absolutely killer value for something below the $100 mark. These feel, of everything on this list, these really feel like the ones that are going to get snatched up once people start to appreciate what is going on in rum more and more. I think Europe probably found out about Foursquare a couple of years before we did, maybe in, 16, 17, 18, somewhere around there. And they are now Hamden nuts over there. And I imagine the U.S. is probably going to follow suit pretty soon. So if there's any bottling on this list to watch out for, just kind of, you know what I mean. This is probably the one. Amazing rum, but very different between the vintages, but both terrific examples of what Hamden can do. Hamden is very probably the best distillery in the world right now, in my judgment. I mean, it's silly to make that sort of call, but to the extent that you put a gun to my head and ask me to make that sort of call, I'm picking Hamden. Next up, Moba 101 Strand. Wow, did this impress the heck out of me. Moba is a relatively new distillery in South Africa, and this is amazing. Again, cane juice based. One of the most aggressive noses I have ever encountered on a spirit. This stinks in the best way possible. It is like garbage stink from heaven. I love it. Blend of very, very high ester rum with aged, well, not aged, like let's just call it aged. It's complicated. Aged lower ester rum, and it works and it's delightful. Definitely for the very very hardcore. Probably even more hardcore than the Rivers, which is very hardcore. Amazing effort, and I expect to see even more awesome stuff from Moba in the future. Moving on to number 3 on my list, and somehow, tragically, the only agave-based spirit on my list. Las Perlas de Jalisco, Raicilla. I have been staying away from this bottle. Look, I basically, since my review, haven't touched it, and that is by force of will. This is the most drinkable, sessionable, Moorish, crushable spirit I had this year. This is a stunningly addictive. If I were, you can destroy. I mean, there's a thirst quenching quality to this, in addition to the normal deliciousness of really well made agave distillate, that is, remarkable. And so I give this, a pretty prominent place on my list of spirits of the year. Wow, and it's reasonably available too. The batches aren't huge. It's like about 500 liters in this batch, but it's out there. You can probably find it. On to number 2. I had to have this on there somewhere. Doc, D-O-K, the high ester mark from Hamden. There are a bunch of different versions of this out there. There's the aficionados bottling, which is a little bit more accessible. And then there's this still strength version, which is quite a monster. But any version you have is worth a spot on this list, and it will be absolutely one of the most serious bottles of anything you have in your collection. I mean, this is... I cry like almost every time I drink this, because this drives me to tears, because it is so... There's something very beautiful and emotional about this spirit. I absolutely adore it. And if you can seek this out, it's absolutely worth grabbing. No age on this. Doc, it's amazing. And once again, Hamden is way up there for me. Like, I've still yet to have a Hamden ever that has left me, that has been anything less than really good. Like, really good. So they are the ones to beat on the world stage right now. But they are not my spirit of the year, my sort of number one. Because my number one is this Mar from the Languedoc by Francois Cathala from Domaine de Pouzet. This is 1975 vintage. You can still find this out there if you look hard. Come on, focus, camera. This old vintage Mar, which is gorgeous, assuming you like, vininess and earth and tea and tobacco and sort of sour, fruity sorts of notes, and dry. This is very, very dry. This little beauty costs right around $60 a bottle. There's a 1985 out there, which I haven't reviewed yet. It's actually kind of right at this level. I would need to have the two side by side to distinguish them. They're that close. That's like $50-ish, depending on your conversion to the euro. And the reason why I put this at number one isn't just that it's so good for such a reasonable amount of money. It's also just, it feels like there's more of this to come. There is old Mar sitting around in cellars around France. Why not old Cipro out there sitting around in Greece, other parts of the world, spirits, brandies that just don't get a lot of love on the market, sitting around someone's cellar, aging away, and it's magnificent. And if it ever hits the market, you can probably get it at a pretty good price, because who is paying attention to Mar right now? So this is it. This is my number one spirit of the year. It's a Mar from the Languedoc, made by people you've never heard of. And that's kind of the point. Go out there, try things you haven't tried, explore stuff that looks interesting, a little risky maybe, a little outside of your comfort zone. Don't get scared, Fairbear. I won't make you try the more. It's delicious, but you're probably not going to be into it. Just expand your palate a little bit. You will, in the current state of the world, you will be rewarded for your efforts when you know the big names and the big categories are kind of what they are right now. So that's kind of it. Yeah, this was definitely rum's year. It feels like we turned a corner on rum, but rum is not the only thing out there and not the only thing to keep an eye on. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in 2022. Cheers.